I am the wrong person to ask this about.
Well, if you like content creation and real estate, in today's episode of Prime People, I'm going to be interviewing Carrie and Chris Brockhurst. Carrie is the real estate side and Chris is the creative side, and they combined their talents into some pretty amazing content. So you're definitely going to want to follow them on Instagram to see that content and then get a notepad, because in this episode, we're going to talk about why Carrie thinks content matters for real estate agents. And we're actually going to talk about workflows, what it's like to be a creative, what it's like to work with those creatives, and best practices. And I think it'll be a fun conversation. So thanks, Carrie and Chris, for making time to be here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Excited to be on here.
Yeah, super pumped. I know, Carrie, we did a podcast quite a long time ago as you're entering into creating an abundance of content. You took that ball, you ran with us. Why don't you give us a little bit of your background, where you do real estate, and how you came to content creation as a solution for the market?
So my market is Peterborough, Kawartha Lakes, and for content creation, well, that has to do with him. Basically, he's like, you're getting into real estate, you need to put your face out there. And before I even got into real estate, I wasn't actually on Instagram, YouTube, definitely not. In front of the camera, it was not my thing. I maybe would post once in a while, but I just didn't care. Like, it wasn't my thing. And Chris had always kind of been in the YouTube space and doing videography, and we had a wedding videography company. And he's like, okay, so I have all the tools. You need to get in front of the camera. You need to get your face out there. You're an energetic person. So that's kind of what I did. And I kind of just rolled with it, ran with it, and have been putting out content as much as I can, getting my face out there, kind of just being as authentic as I can, and letting people kind of into my life and get an idea of who I am and honestly, like, who we are. So, yeah.
And you spoke about that earlier, about how you guys used to have a podcast and may revive it one day. But I'm going to dig into your expertise in a little bit. But first, Chris, your perspective, right? Why did you think it mattered for her to get on camera and start creating content?
I think with all the content I consume now, it's very evident that the more content you have, the better any business does in general. Now that can be applied to any market, any niche. So I said, like, this is really the way that you can get yourself ahead of everybody else very, very quickly. And I think going that route really did pay off for you. Like the very first video that you posted, you started hearing from people, like even at like your sister's work, people were like, oh, have you seen this video of this new realtor in town? I was like, yeah, that's my sister-in-law. So it's like the very first video that we kind of like put together and planned.
On vacation.
On vacation, actually, and shot when we were on vacation.
Yeah.
And executed. It kind of paid off immediately. So we just knew straight away that was the right decision to go. And she's done very, very well at adapting to having to not just do content creation, like think of content creation, like life in terms of content creation, like everything you do has to in some way revolve around that.
And I would say the market that we're in too, there's not a lot. There is a few agents doing it, but
it's limited.
It's limited, right? So, I mean, Durham region, Toronto, there is a lot of competition, a lot of agents doing video. So I will say, like, I didn't have that much competition, I would say.
Agreed.
And not that I'm the only one. It's a smaller community. So it was a little bit easier. But I will say that he has changed my mindset in the sense of, we're on vacation and we're always brainstorming, thinking of ideas, how to come up with content. But before, I would never think about it. And even now, like when I go into my brokerage, I'll talk to the owner. I'm like, hey, we should do this, or you should do that. Or like, have you ever thought about this for content? And my mind has purely just like pivoted, and I just want to help as many people as I can, like get in front of the camera, grow their business, and just put it out there. But that's thanks to him.
Yeah. Yeah, but you adapted really well. Like you just basically learned that, like, if you're interested in something, if you're learning something, other people probably are interested. They need to learn as well. So you just yeah, like your mortgage Mike guy, I really like that one that you do. She just goes in and asks him, hey Mike, if I need to spend this much, what's going to be the monthly payment? It's like, that's really interesting, useful content for people to know about. So yeah, but that's just a part of your daily routine now, right? So yeah.
Yeah, and there's a flow that happens as you start thinking like that in creation mode, right? And you're looking for those opportunities and, you know, content that you love to make, but then you also realize what content is very well out there, right? So I guess, why don't you, Carrie, break down what are the types of content that you create that you find are essential, and what are the pieces that you do that are kind of passion-led?
So for me, I hated, and I still hate, but it's so true, when people are always like, okay, you have to provide value. You have to provide value. And I would get so in my head with that. I'm like, okay, what value do I have to bring? And it would honestly piss me off. I would just think like, okay, what value? This is so stupid, blah, blah, blah. But I think I would start like bringing it back down to just like the basics. And
I think you learned that value doesn't necessarily have to be value in the sense of what you perceive as being value. It could be entertainment. That could be the value as well, right? Or
or just something so little about like the deposit or entertainment, or like it doesn't have to be you on the camera, and it can be Mortgage Mike, or it can be just funny little things. So for me, I just tried to get out of my head as much as I could. And the value would just be something so little and simple that you think everyone may know about it, but they actually don't. Or like the deposit. Honestly, I had so many people be like, oh, I didn't know about a deposit. Once you put in an offer, you have to have that money available to you. Like, so simple, but not a lot of people knew about it. And you just overthink. I feel like agents overthink, okay, I have to create value. It's like, well, that is value. They didn't know that.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I think there's a lot of content out there and buzzwords in this industry, like value or contagion with SVB collapsing. I was like, oh, look, the media has a new buzzword and everybody's using it, and it loses its value.
Yeah.
I think what you're getting to is really understanding the nature of, you're talking to human beings at the other side of the camera.
Yeah.
You're not, just turning them into a line on an expense sheet. So you need to be empathetic of what's going to draw emotion from them. Chris, you made a great point, right? You said, like, tell a story, make it entertaining. I'm sure you look at this as almost like documentary filmmaking. It just happens to be in the space of real estate. What content do you think agents are doing well these days? And what content do you think agents should be doing more of?
More of day to day, like what your average life looks like as a real estate agent. Anything you do on a regular basis, like I'm sure everyone knows what vlogging is. Treat anything you want to make, any form of content, like it's almost like vlogging, really. But it's just like 30-second segments. So are you driving to work to go and sign a deal? Are you, I don't know, going to check out a new house with someone, and there's something on a house that stands out as being a reason to not buy? Like, anything you do should be your content. Like, the more you can put out and the easier it is, the more sustainable you can make it, I think the better it will be. The less stuff I want to see, or I want to see less content from people, especially real estate agents, where it's like overly produced. I don't find that interesting. And I think in general, for most social media, anything that's overly produced has a time and a place. But if you're just pumping out the same style over and over again, it's just overproduced. I'm not interested in it. I don't think you are either.
No, and I think people see past that, right? They're like, oh, okay, here's another agent trying to sell me. And it's just fake, I feel. Like, it's just phony.
The more raw, the better.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that, actually. I was with a painter like an hour ago, actually. We were doing content beyond content. I've got our intern, I've got Nico, my creative director, here. I'll bring Nico in after to meet you, Chris, and ask some questions. But as we were shooting 3 pieces of content on one site, because I like to stack our content production shoots, I see a painter across the street that I sold his house like 2 years ago. And he reps like luxury builders. And we were talking about the industry, and he was saying he had a referral for me. And the reason he wanted to send it to me was the other person that was up for it just had that kind of fake image of, I'm too good to deal with anybody. And those old kind of cinematic looking videos of them walking out of the Mercedes. And I'm like, dude, there's a recession going on right now. people are in it. Like, I don't want to put out the profile that I'm anything but humble and just a normal guy. And I do think that there's going to be a big trend going away from the celebritization of our industry, closer towards a lot of that raw and that realness. So I love that you brought that up. I want your opinion on one thing, Chris, and you as well, Carrie. The Alex Hormozy real farms out there, like they all look the same. Agents are putting out the same videos with the same quick cuts, the same text layovers, the same emojis. Like, I stopped doing it because I feel like I don't want to be known as similar to anybody else. What's your thought behind that type of content? Clearly it works, but where do you think that trend is heading?
I think everything goes in cycles. It's like trends, right? You'll see things for a while, and then you'll see people stop doing things, and then you'll see all the other people who are maybe like 6 months, a year behind. They'll start doing those trends, but then they're not interesting anymore. Everything goes through cycles and trends, and right now I think we're just moving into a much more raw, organic.
I think going back to the basics,
yeah,
right? Like
just
how
make
it
it
used
simple.
to be, and not so commercialized. And you do it a lot, Justin. You just like pick up your phone, you'll go live and just like, hey, I'm doing this. I'm like, that's amazing. Why is every agent not doing? I will say though, like, you have so much going on in your mind. Prime example, the other day I was at like a home inspection, and going in, I'm like, oh, great. Love, his name's Paul Galvin. Awesome. I'm like, hey, I'm going to get a video of him talking about something on a home. Completely forgot. We just got like chit chatting, and I will see him again. But I just mean, that would have been great content, something people would love because it's raw, it's upfront, it's not, film, like it's not
produced,
it's
not overly
produced.
produced,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's
It's
the other
behind the scenes, right?
Yeah.
It's the stuff people actually want
Yeah.
to see.
Yeah. And that's what I tell a lot of like agents, or people will say to me, oh, well, your husband's a videographer. He actually doesn't do any of my stuff. Like,
Not anymore, no.
no, I was actually well, okay, that's a bit of a lie. So like a listing or something like that, like I got an inside scoop. But like my YouTube and stuff, I'm like, hey, so can we film? He's like, I don't have time. So I literally get my iPhone out.
You learn how to edit.
I learned how to edit. I do it myself. It sucks. It takes a long time. But yeah, he kind of made me do it myself. And I am thankful. But yeah, that's what I tell everyone is like, you just need a phone. Like, you literally just need a phone. You can film raw, and you'll still get great views, and people will relate to you.
And even if you don't get great views, you're still putting out content that somebody might find valuable. Just because your video doesn't get 500 views or 1,000 views, like if it only gets 30 views, but there's one person out of that got value out of it, that could be your client down the road, right? Which I think is a really, really, especially for real estate, a good thing to think about.
Yeah, for me, I don't have a massive following on YouTube or TikTok, and I have clients from both. We haven't done a transaction yet, but we're in the process of it and showing them homes and things like that. But it's about, it doesn't matter about the
size.
The size, yes. You want to build those relationships, and
you want a core audience that's actually interested in you, and they are potentially clients, not just.
And that's what I do love. Sorry, I get so excited about this. That YouTube, when people do reach out to me, they're like, oh, my wife would love you. You're so energetic. You guys would get along great. And I love it, because when I do talk to them on the phone and when I do meet them, we just jive and we connect, and they know my personality and it matches their personality. And that's one thing that I do love a lot about video, is that because they already know me, they feel like they know me. When I do meet them, I'm like, yes, we're like now best friends.
Makes it easier for you.
Yeah.
It's very true. Like, that's something we've seen come through years and years and years of content, is even early on Instagram, I didn't have a big following at all. It wasn't until Clubhouse came around that it really popped. And it was only because it was a very dialed in audience and that base was built. But my phone was ringing. People would tell me, oh, I watch all your videos. I'm like, why don't you like it or comment or whatever in my head? But I was like, whatever, my phone's ringing. It's working. Now I see people that are buying their following. It's very easy to see that look like they're the number one agent on social media. Meanwhile, they have no signs around the city and they're not actually doing any business. So I think, Chris, I love that you pointed that out, because one thing I try and do on this channel is empower people to feel good about themselves and stop the comparison trap. Because even on YouTube, for example, I'd rather have one subscriber watch 4,000 hours of my content than 4,000 subscribers watch 1 second of my content, which would not lead to anything. right? So
Yeah.
I think that was very
So true.
insightful. But to go back to the inspection and Carrie forgetting to shoot the video that she knew would be oh so good. You have a job to do, right? Which
Yeah.
I'm glad you did, because that's your primary job.
Yeah.
But managing a content calendar, both your opinions on that. We'll start with Chris. How do you manage a production calendar when you have 12 vlogs to shoot a year, and then you got to shoot one batch reel content a week, and like all of the things? How do you manage your production calendar?
I am the wrong person to ask this about.
I literally knew you were
I am
gonna say that.
extremely unorganized. I don't stick to a schedule. I genuinely, I used to be way better than I am now. But I find the way I work now is just more like spur of the moment. If I have an idea, I do it. If I want to make a reel, I make it. I don't really batch produce content anymore unless I'm on a trip and I'm just, there's so much content, I just don't have enough time to post it, especially like more for short form stuff. For longer form videos, like right now I'm working on 4 longer form videos. One I started maybe 2 months ago. It's just when it gets done, it gets done. And that isn't the best way for a lot of people to deal with it, but that's what works for me. I used to find doing the scheduled route, I just wouldn't want to do things. Or if something did come up that I was way more interested in doing, that gets pushed to the side, and then I focus on something that I don't want to do, and it's just, I don't know, it didn't work for me. You're way better at this than I am, and you stick to it. You way better than I am, for sure.
Before we get to Carrie, I want to ask you, Chris, so
Yeah.
the audience, the viewers know, because literally my audience is split right down the middle. It's
Yep.
half real estate agents and entrepreneurs and half creatives,
Uh-huh.
right? And people that create content. What are you creating right now, and what are you passionate about? I'd be curious to know.
Right now, I am working on a couple of travel films. I just got back from Yosemite to shoot this like natural phenomenon called firefalls, which is when essentially a waterfall comes over the side of a cliff in Yosemite National Park and glows and looks like lava. So I'm working on a short film that I did for that with a couple of other people. I've got some brand videos I'm working on right now. And then I have a couple of gear review videos that I have in the final stages of the edits, and then some photos I'm in the middle of editing. So that's all going on right now.
And are
in
you
my mind.
entering the World Championship drone pilot series? What you've been doing on your reels is pretty awesome.
Yeah. Well, I guess that is stuff I'm doing as well. Like I'm always trying to learn new things. So I'm trying to
And
learn
you
how to
practice
fly.
a lot.
Yeah.
Like,
Trying to learn how to fly FPV, because we want to incorporate that into
Yeah.
your real estate videos, because at least up here, it's not done a lot.
so again, I'm like, oh, I got to set myself apart from something different. I want to like fly through a house, and I'm like,
But
get
it's hard.
learning.
It's hard. It's hours and hours of learning that you just squeeze in randomly throughout the week. But yeah, there's a lot on my plate, but I like being busy. I genuinely enjoy being like, I'll get home from work, kids go to bed. Like last night, we both sat down and just worked until we went to bed again. But
it sounds awful, but we
like
love
it.
it.
Yeah.
Like it's like our thing. Like
Yeah.
we go on vacation and it'll be 2 days or a day.
2
and
days
we're
of
like,
relaxing, then like, all right.
we're like, what do we do? Oh, should we film stuff, or like, what content can we make, or what about this, or what about that? And our brains just keep going, and we try to. It's when we get most creative. Actually, we should kind of dewind and not talk about work, but it's our thing.
It's a common thing.
Yeah, we
have,
love
yeah.
it. Like it's weird to say, but we genuinely, like we like working together. Which
I disagree. I don't think you should turn it off. I think honestly, like when my wife and I go on vacation was when we come up with the best ideas.
Yeah.
We have
Agreed.
Companies, we're always collaborating. Tim Tebow, I read a quote from him this morning about the alignment of like purpose and work and passion. And how really all three of those things, it doesn't really feel like work. Like I was here till 10:30 last night working. Granted, like there's seasons of life when you get tired and you're like, man, I'm working. But like I have fun doing what I do because I've incorporated what I do into my work. And I think you've done that in a great way.
Yeah.
But given Chris is an absolute mess when it comes to a calendar, just kidding. Carrie,
No,
how
he
do you
is.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. How do you manage your production schedule?
Oh man, I would like to say I am very organized with my content. And people ask me all the time, and I am not. And the reason I've tried, did do some batch shooting and things like that. But for me, I have to be on, like as in I have to feel it, and I feel it'll come off on camera if I'm not feeling it. So if I'm having a really good day and I kind of prioritize my list and I can push it to the side, then I will kind of do batch shooting. But 9 times out of 10, I don't. And it'll just be on the fly. Okay, I got like 30 seconds. Let's do something. Or because I enjoy doing it. And when I'm procrastinating on doing some paperwork or something that can just wait till I really have to do it. I'm like, great, let's make content. And I'll just think of ideas. Or I think, it was Glenda Baker. I was in a Clubhouse room or something. And she's like, yeah, I just put, things on my notes app. So if I think of something, maybe that week, I'll put it in there and then I'll go back to it. And then if I'm feeling it, I'm like, great, let's shoot this. But yeah, that's not the answer. I know you really want it and people want.
It is though. So let me jump in because like I used to be crazy with it. Like I would look at my year and compartmentalize like every aspect of Prime and all the different divisions we have and the team and my personal stuff and like separate it all. And I created a structure. I was like, it's perfect. It's glorious. This is how we're going to rotate the content and do it. And I also felt what Chris felt earlier, where you lose the humanity aspect of it too. And you're doing it for the sake of the work when there needs to be a balance of the art and the math. And I think you've kind of found a way of, you understand the math of this is how much content I would like to produce on a, say, yearly basis. But you found almost an internal flow where it becomes a habit, like brushing your teeth, where you may not do it on a set clock every single week, every single time, but you're going to be doing it on a regular basis because you know it's important. Is that somewhat accurate for the two of you?
Exactly. 100%. Right now, even just talking about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to really get a YouTube video out. But then I always hear him in the back of my mind of like, okay, but you also want it to make quality and you don't want to just put it out because you have to put it out and you want to be feeling it. I'm like, yeah, okay. So put a little bit more thought into it, script it out, and then
especially with YouTube,
yeah. What are your thoughts with ChatGPT 4 launching now and helping script and structure videos and maintaining the human element versus using it as a crutch?
I haven't really experimented it in the past few weeks.
I used it yesterday.
You did? Okay.
Yep.
I played around with some image generation stuff yesterday to try and get some thumbnails together, but it didn't really work out how I wanted. But it's going to become a huge part of a lot of, especially with content creation. If you're not good at coming up with ideas, it can do those for you. If you're not good at SEO, it can do that for you.
Can it though?
Oh yeah. It's ridiculous. Give me 10 ideas for a video about this, done. Like immediately. It'll even, if you then like ask it, well, can you script that video for me? It will pull all the information to script the video for, like, you don't, essentially
list, keywords, everything.
You could just be an on-camera talent now, and someone else will make the content for you. The someone else being ChatGPT. So, the thing that ChatGPT will never be able to replace is this conversation we're having right now, where we're three like normal people that have our own minds.
Speak for yourself. Yeah, no, I'm just kidding.
Jump into conversations about things and just think more fluidly. I don't know. We'll see where it goes with that,
and I find it doesn't. I have to give it a lot of direction if I want it to have my tone. So then I just add in certain things. But for me, I love it because I'm not a writer, but it gives me something to go off of or like a basis, and then I can just tweak it to.
Did you try the thing I told you to try? Like,
I always do it. I tell everyone.
You reverse engineer what it's doing. Yeah.
Should you share that?
I don't know if you've heard about that. So essentially, if you you reverse. So normally it's like you say you are a I don't know. Let's say you're a realtor who has a $500,000 listing. Can you create a tagline for a YouTube video or something like that for me? You would get it to ask you the questions that it thinks. I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it. It's like. You are a AI robot that is asking the questions to someone that wants to sell a house. What are the necessary questions that you would ask them? And then that way it can really narrow in on a way more like direct response for you. That's probably a really bad way I've described it, but
no, it's not actually. So we've used this ourselves.
Oh, you have? Okay.
So I'll amplify that tip a little bit.
Yeah.
And you can create email drip campaigns for, say, I have a lakefront property in Grand Bend. Grand Bend's an area we cover. There's tons of erosion issues. And like, we've actually instructed it, write out an email drip campaign for a lakefront property, X dollars, X bedrooms, bathrooms with these features in the tone that a luxury buyer would engage with. And then output that. Then it's now give me a 10 email sequence to that buyer to get them engaged to show up and do the show. And literally you can take that and then put it into your CRM as an action plan and then turn it on. So you can make it so specific for whatever you're selling. I think having a prompt engineer in a company is going to be a thing in the future where you have somebody that their job is to be prompting ChatGPT for the outputs. And then you're going to have data input people take that and then put it into your organization systems. Again, going back to what you said, Chris, empowering the human beings, right? Because that's the math. What you cannot replace is the art. The fact that she was able to go out and learn how to edit, like learn a skill set and know how to translate that into on-screen camera, like AI, I don't think is going to be able to replicate that human emotion to the same effect that she is able to because of how she is in tune with the people that are around her. It can do deep fakes, it can modify voices, and it can run whole podcasts. But there's that human element that I think we need to lean more into, because if we just rely on the math, eventually we're all going to be out of a job.
And with that too, like he would always coach me when we would do a script, or like ChatGPT does a script for you for YouTube or whatever. You're like, great, I have it, I can read it, perfect. But again, it needs to feel like you and have that human connection. And he would always try and coach me and be like, okay, create a hook or do this or do that. And I would just be like, can you cram it? Because that doesn't sound like me. Like he would say, okay, this is a good hook for you. And eventually I kind of stopped listening to him and kind of put more into me. And then it was easier.
I had to kind of teach you the parameters of what you need to be doing. And then you just kind of worked within those for your own language.
But with ChatGPT, it's great. They can make you a script, but I feel like it might be the same thing of like what you're doing for me. It's going to coach you, but is it going to sound like you? Is it going to come off genuine? And
I heard this really great analogy the other day about people that are scared that ChatGPT is going to replace them and their jobs. You may have heard it. It was they compared it to when before tractors were invented on farms. So farmers used to do everything by hand, right? This was years and years ago. And then when tractors came along, they were like, no way, that'll never replace us. We'll be fine. And then tractors came along and farmyard machinery came along. They took all the jobs of the people who used to do it by hand. And the people didn't lose their jobs. They just found other jobs that were now above what those tractors are now doing. Now they manage a fleet of tractors, or now they create tractors. So it's like your job's not going to get replaced. You're just going to transition into something else that's around ChatGPT.
Work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, to a degree, yeah.
Well, I think if you're not actually doing anything at your job, you are going to get replaced.
If you're not doing anything, that's different.
It'll expose that.
That's different.
But I think that's anyone, right? You go into work and you're like, if you're not working, well, you don't have a job.
Yeah.
Well, Elon started the trend. Now Zuckerberg's doing it as well, like walking around saying, what do you do here? And then Silicon Valley is like, oh my gosh, like, well, how are we operating? We're seeing it at a local level, businesses getting a lot more efficient and making room for people that want to be part of an organization, a culture, and an ecosystem. But it's a cool world, because when we all grew up, you had a job, you worked for somebody, you punched a clock, and it was like, hey, I can't wait to go home and watch the game. Now you can be a travel vlogger, you can have a YouTube channel, you can sell real estate, like you can have multiple passions and integrate them using technology. And I think that's the world we're going into, is it's actually going to allow people to be the highest versions of themselves and find true happiness and purpose in their work. And I think people should be thinking about aligning their work with an industry that lets them do what they love. And you've found that, Carrie. I love that you've taken that passion and integrated it into real estate. I guess, where does that line go for you? Like, you obviously want to be a great agent, you're educating yourself, you're working really hard, and you rep your territory very, very well. You're a creative as well. Like, how do you balance leaning into being more of an agent, more of a creative? Like, how do you look at the balance of those two things?
Haven't thought that far ahead. I'm literally like just in the moment as it is right now. And I was listening to one of your podcasts or something, and it's like so many agents, they'll be an agent and then they'll go and do coaching or something like that. And I'm like, I'm a terrible teacher. I don't want to coach people. I am happy to help. I'm happy to tell everyone. And I do, like, if someone at the brokerage is like, oh, how do you edit? I'm like, oh, I use CapCut. Or how do you use this? Or what microphones do you use? Or how do you do a hook? And I actually will help people. But as for where I want to go, am not sure. I love real estate. I love, it sounds so cliche, but like I genuinely like that feeling when you connect people. And like I connected to people on like a lease. Like, I say it because it's like there's not a lot of money in it, but that I didn't care, and they were just so happy that they both meshed so well, and that feeling that you get is just like a high. It's I don't know.
You're a people person.
I'm a people person.
you're a people person.
I'm a people person. I am not a teacher.
Yep.
I don't know if it's actually going to zoom in that.
Oh,
right?
I saw that. I loved
The
it.
2 little kids, like
Yeah.
we did a deal and she sent me a photo of her kids. It was a difficult transaction. Like they stuck with us. They worked so hard to get the deal done. And she sends a picture of her kids. And I'm like, that's worth more than any commission check, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's the feeling that I love about this business. Like, and I like the game in it. It's fun. But that feeling that you get when it works out and people are so happy and so thankful that you've went like above and beyond to help them, and that's why I love it. So right now I'm just kind of in that moment, and I'm a very I come up with ideas and then just do it. I do not think it through. As in the other day we were going to buy a house, we were going to flip a house.
But those are the things that typically excel you. At least like since I've known you, like 15 years or so now, like those whim jumps, those random ideas that you're really good at executing on that I'm not, those are normally the ones that like level you up. So I think it's true though. So I think that's, you don't know what you want to do yet because you haven't figured it out.
Yeah, but I'll get there.
Yeah.
Well, kind of like the first time we met, Carrie, right?
Yep.
The podcast. You're like, let's just do this and let's see what happens, right? And like, look at you now. So
Literally. And I remember you saying yes. I'm like, oh crap, he did say yes. And I'm like, now I got to do this.
Because we're very similar.
Yeah. I love it. And I love that you and your wife work together too. So I was like, oh, and does she kind of balance you out, and do you have the ideas and she's just like, okay, Justin, like
she's very stoic. Yeah. She's my Chris, right? Really, like when I'm with her, she's very analytical. She's super smart. Like, so she's the Wizard of Oz. She's like, nobody sees her because she's the smart one. She's the CEO, the brains of the organization, MBA from the Richard Ivey School of Business. She'll go into a spreadsheet and it's like Neo in the Matrix, right?
Yeah.
And I'm the other guy where I'm like, I will jump off a cliff because I had an idea and I'm like, I think this will work. Right. So
that's me.
You have that balance. She runs a very efficient organization. She kills it.
Yeah.
But I think you need to have that balance. I also think from a work perspective, I don't like the term because it's another buzzword, work-life balance. But I think doing quality work is so key. I think you're going to be able to do that in the real estate industry, Carrie. I think you're going to be able to work with good quality clients, and you don't need to sell 1,000 ends a year to be successful in this business. Quite the contrary. I think that that's also something our industry gets wrong when we use quantification or deal volume as a measure of success versus the quality of the deals that you're doing and the impact you're having on people's lives. I think the more you create content, the more you connect with your audience, you're going to be able to pick and choose the clients that you work with to make sure that it's aligned with your core values. And I think you're both doing that really well together. One more kind of rapid fire topic I want to get through. I'm going to bring in Nico because I know he has a couple questions on the production side in a second.
Yeah.
But what gear do you guys use? Like, what do you shoot with, Carrie, and what do you edit with? And same question for you, Chris.
My cell phone. What is it? iPhone 13 Pro. But you need to actually have the proper settings. I will say that.
Okay, what are the settings?
What are the settings, Chris?
So like generally speaking, you want to shoot, like social media prefers 30 frames per second. It doesn't like, it will do less, but things look better at 30 frames per second. But you actually want to shoot at 60 on your phone. So 4K 60, it just seems to look much nicer for video, at least when you shoot it.
Gimbal or no gimbal?
Depends. I would say no gimbal now. The stabilization in phones is good enough to the point where it looks pretty good. And I'd say a gimbal just adds hassle and it's an extra thing you have to bring.
Much, right?
Yeah.
What did Francis do? Like when he shot some on his phone, was that on a gimbal?
Well, you could use phone gimbals as well. Like you can use the DJI phone gimbals and they're fine, especially now with the magnet for the MagSafe. That makes it easier.
Yeah.
But the less friction you have, if you can just shoot on your phone, like just shoot on your phone.
And then mics, the Rhodes, I don't even, or is it DJI?
Rhodes. DJI mics,
Yeah.
DJI wireless mics.
Plug it right into your phone.
You use those, Carrie, right?
Yeah, that's what I use. Plug it right into my phone. It's perfect audio. And then I was going to get, what was it, Premiere Pro or no, Final Cut. Final Cut. Oh,
You're close.
Yep. And I was going to learn that. And I just thought, honestly, CapCut is great for me. I separate the audio. I can do a jump cut. I love it. So that's what I do to edit, do my YouTube videos on that. And that is about it. I don't have any fancy lighting. I got a good old fashioned tripod.
That is an old tripod you have as well, but it works.
Yeah, it works. It works.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's it. That's all I use. Sometimes I'll use the fancy cameras, but
yeah, like for when we're doing like a house tour, like if it's a narrated house tour, then we'll shoot with the decent Sony cameras and wireless mics and gimbals just because we need it. But in general, like for the day-to-day average content, fine. Yeah.
And what are you shooting with these days, Chris?
So anything that's like short form based, so Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, 97% is done on my phone. iPhone 14 Pro Max, shooting wide mode, 4K 60, edit on my phone if I need to, but generally speaking, I do it in one take, upload it to Instagram immediately, and people always ask, what camera are you using? And like, it's my iPhone. Don't overthink it, it's my iPhone.
And that's because you don't have a calendar and you literally just think on the go literally. And you're like, great, I'm going to just shoot this. And then, but it's also the way that you shoot it is artsy and you know the angle. So I would give any tip if there is an agent that wants to get into video, invest in a course. Because like Chris was my course. Thankfully it was free, but you can do a lot with your phone and
just basic composition, basic composition and like framing of, if you're in it yourself, to make sure that the camera's the right height, not too low, not too high, because it just makes things look strange. Basic framing and composition will go a long way shooting with your phone.
Fantastic advice. So we'll look for the Chris and Carrie Brockhurst course eventually one day. Just put one out. Yeah. They really have good advice to give. Yeah. This is Nico, creative director.
Hey, Nico.
Hey. I know he's got some questions, so I'll let him ask them.
Let's do it.
Hey, Chris.
Hey.
As a fellow Sony shooter myself, I'm thankful for you for all your tips and tricks. I've been following you for a while.
Oh, thank you.
So my question is, how much time do you put into finding the right song to set the tone for your videos? And do you think of that before or after your videos? And what service do you use to find these songs?
Depends on the video I'm making. So like right now, the video I'm working on is very much driven by music, I find. So the tone of the video, the feeling that I want to have the viewers kind of perceive in the video, I will find the music before I start the edit for that style of video. If it's just a talking head video like this, where I'm just doing a gear review or a tutorial or something like that, I'll make the edit, then jump on and just find some like lo-fi music or some chill hop or something like that, slap it in the background, really low decibels, and it's just there to kind of make the video feel a bit more engaging and interesting. Generally speaking, these days I am using Artlist or Epidemic Sound. Both of those I'm an ambassador for. I love both platforms. They're both good in their own respects. Artlist typically has a bit more better like lyrical style of music if you want that. But Epidemic Sound I don't think can be beat in terms of like beat style of music, more electronic. But then for weddings,
I was gonna say the reason I went with the music was because that's half of our conversation at night. He'll bring a video home and be like, "What do you think about this music?" And then I'll go, "No, no," or like, "Yeah, that's a good one." And we literally will just sit there and just listen to the music. And then if I know the content or what you've shot, we both will be like, "Oh yeah, I think that one or this one." But the music is like,
music's hard.
The main thing.
It takes a long time. So like back to what you said about how long does it take? How long is a piece of string?
Yeah.
It could be, sometimes it has happened. I've clicked play and like, yep, that's the one. It's very, very rare. Other times, half a day. No exaggeration. Like I'll spend hours and like, nope, it's not it. I'll come back another day because I just can't find it. And it's frustrating because if that is leading the edit's not starting to happen. So it's painful. And that's the same for everybody. All my creative friends were all the same. Like it's a running joke how long it takes to find music.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nico.
Yeah.
The answer you gave there about how long's a piece of string is like a Yoda level answer.
That's classic.
Like-
That's
I
classic.
said that to your
amazing.
father-in-law
Like,
once, and he loved it.
I know
Yeah.
my dad loves that joke. Like, how long's a
That-
piece of string?
I feel like I want to use that in a listing appointment. Just
Do it.
ask, how long is it going to take to sell your house? How long is a piece of string?
Yeah.
Right, here's the average.
Yeah.
Depends on the buyers. Right?
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
that was a great answer. All right, I want to honor your time. I got a couple more rapid fire questions for the two of you, and then I'll get you out of here. I'm going to gift you both a book. Got to make sure you haven't read it first. Have you read the War of Art?
No,
I have
no,
not.
I have not.
Phenomenal. So I'm going to get
Okay.
that for you. Do you like paperback or audiobooks?
I do like audio,
Yeah. Okay.
but I
Audiobook
also
will-
do like paperback because we're going on vacation next week. So either or.
And I'm actually going to do two books because there's two guests. So I'm going to get the YouTube formula. Have you read that one?
I have that one.
Yes,
Do you?
I have
do.
started it.
Yep. Yep.
Ooh, okay. I'm gonna have to think of another one. I'll send you guys a paperback and an audio because you're creators and you're obviously in real estate as well too. The War of Art's a very interesting book. It talks about musicians, creatives. I look at athletes. I look at real estate agents. All the same. It's really just showing up and doing the basic things that you need to do on a regular basis until the muse shows up and creation happens. Right. I think people a lot of times reverse engineer it and think they need the signs up, they need the amazing video, the subscribers in order to gain success. When in reality, I think the biggest takeaway from this episode I've gotten is the creative process, not being so tied to the outcome, the subscribers, the views,
Yeah.
but rather implementing on a daily basis. So I really appreciate the advice that you gave us. But the rapid fire questions, first one for Chris, then Carrie, how has failure shaped your life?
It teaches you things that you'll never do ever again, and it makes you get better. Because
Well,
you're looking for a specific, like, how has it made me better, or?
No, that's a perfect answer.
Yeah,
Clearly.
okay.
I think you're overthinking it.
I did, yeah.
Yeah. For me, I'm like, well, you can't grow without failing.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes, like, I truly hate not doing everything perfect, but I've kind of changed my mindset of you're not going to grow or do something better until you do fail. So I kind of am okay doing it now. I'm okay failing.
I can appreciate that. And failing comes with trying new things.
Yeah.
So the second question I have, Carrie first and Chris, what are you learning right now that excites you?
So I know it should be something crazy, but actually I'm learning to turn my mind off a little bit. So I'm trying to do things for myself and not be so work related. So like I'm reading more and I know it should be more technology driven and YouTube and things like that. But for myself, I have to learn patience and I have to learn time for myself and downtime. So you're going to be like, are you? But I am trying to read more and learn patience as much as I can from, Jay Shetty, Thinking Like a Monk. I'm reading that book and I'm like trying to follow and do things in a different way. So that's what I'm trying to learn, like internally, I guess.
Mine's somewhat similar, but I would say, what am I learning right now? Like my first answer was to say, I'm how to fly FPV drones, but I would say what I'm actually trying to learn right now is the best routine for me that starts a successful day.
He does a cold plunge every morning.
I've been doing it since January 1st. It's really opened my eyes about like doing certain things in a certain order at a certain point of the day really makes the day, like affects how the day kind of flows. And I find if I don't do certain things, the day just goes to not good. So learning a good routine to start a day well.
Yeah, if you ever want to jam on that, get my number from Gary and we can chat. I mean, I worked on that for years to set myself up for success. And I'd say it does change everything. I typically get like 3 days work done in one day just because of the simple things at the very, very beginning, right?
It's exactly that. I've come home to you and say, I've had such a productive day.
I know.
It's because I followed, interesting.
I try, but I just like sleeping.
Yeah.
You got to find the balance though, right? Because I think when I say 3 days work in one day, I don't mean work. I mean productive. Like, was I a good father? Was I a productive friend? Was I great at my job? Did I learn a new skill? And I think we could continue this conversation for hours. But I'm supposed to keep these rapid fire. Super focused. For you, Carrie, actually to answer your question or your answer. I did a video last Friday. So I do a live stream on this channel every Friday morning where I do a training, right? I do it on Clubhouse and in person on YouTube. But I profiled Lewis Hamilton and Petronas, the F1 team. And I spoke about what makes them excellent. And Lewis Hamilton specifically speaks in a masterclass about diversity of interest, that how his passion for fashion actually makes him a better F1 driver, because people think you need to do this to be an F1 driver. This is what F1 drivers do, but having a diversity of interest creates flow in your main thing. So I think use that as an unlock for creating time away from the technology, and whether it's cooking, gardening, archery, fly fishing, it doesn't matter what it is getting into that flow state through a diversity of interest, right?
Yeah, agreed. You say that to me all the time.
Got to find things that you just enjoy.
I know, but I enjoy work. Like I do. And so that's my problem, is that I genuinely enjoy working. So that's what I'm working on. Other interests that I enjoy.
I promise you will enjoy it more if you find those interests, because you'll appreciate that time that you have doing the thing once you realize the structure of your life and how little time you have to do all the things that you want to do.
Yeah.
So no,
next time we talk, I'm gonna have it.
No pressure.
So the most important question, you made time for my audience and this amazing crash course in content creation and all things life. What can we do for you? If you're at the top of Prime Square and you're talking to the entire globe, is there a message you want to get out to the audience, a passion that you want them to point them to? My platform is yours.
And that's where you would press your little thing and it would be like the crickets.
The cricket sound, yeah. What's it? I don't know. That's a really
for
great
me,
question.
I don't care about, like, people don't have to come and follow me or anything like that. My message to them, if it's a new agent or anyone in real estate, or it doesn't even have to be real estate, but a small business, and they want to get in front of the camera and do video, just practice. And practice in your car, talking out loud. It doesn't have to be in front of the camera, but just practice. And it sounds, you might feel silly, but that's okay. Like, everyone starts somewhere, and just put it out there. Don't overthink it, and it'll come easier the more you do it.
So I'm going to say something I made a video about. If this is more for people who are interested in creating content, these are my two biggest tips that I will tell you. And I have these written down as cue cards from a while back. Do it because you want to, and treat Instagram Reels like stories. If you do those two things, you can make easy content.
Well, you just killed the episode. I think those are amazing takeaways. Everybody go give them a follow, jump into their feeds, thank them for their time. Feel free to DM them, and we'll put all their links below. If you want any future episodes of Prime People, hit that subscribe, the notification button. You can find this on all audio platforms, wherever. You know how to do the things. Share it with somebody that might get some value from it, and I'm sure this is going to be a collaboration that we actually do in person one day when I come up.
Yes.
To your territory.
Let's do it.
Bring up our videographers and we do a collab.
Yes, I'm down.
Thank you for having us.
Well, if you come to Grand Bend or London and want to shoot content, you let me know as well, and we'll make it happen.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thank you for having us.
Cheers.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, guys.
Okay, ciao. Bye.
See ya.